Muito obrigado. Mr. King, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
It is a tremendous honor.
Let me show it's me.
Lovely.
Now I feel I'm home.
When I was asked to come and be with you for a while, I said immediately yes. There are many things that can be said of your work, but I'll begin. Mr. King is a voracious reader, in case you don't know. I saw a documentary of one of his early apartments in Washington, D.C. when I was there back in the 90s. And he had the most monumental library you can imagine squeezed into an apartment. So I'll bring up one tiny element of knowledge that comes to us from old Russia. A writer called Anton Chekhov, who said that any idiot can resolve a crisis. The problem...
Stop.
I will.
Stop. Are you referring to me?
No, that will be the next one.
Don't tick me off, Mario.
No, I will not.
Don't make me mad.
No, I will not. The next one is that any idiot can resolve a crisis, but it's the day by day that's difficult. The difficulty is the daily work. And Mr. King, over decades, carried on probably the most popular talk show in the world, in the industry of communications. His extremely brave decision to embark on Ted Turner's project of a 24/7 channel, meaning news 24 hours a day, every day, at the time it was attempted, was absolutely mad. I'm not calling you that, sir, at all. But the risk that he took on a well-established career over radio and television then, embarking on Ted Turner's dream in CNN, was fantastic. And guess what? He succeeded. And guess what? He marked the style of broadcasting these days, of which I'm the smallest of followers. But certainly the way I approach my work these days has a lot of the input you've given us, sir.
Mario, first let me say that based on what you just said, I thought I died. So I'm shocked to be sitting here alive. But as I've said many times, I pinch myself every day. I can't believe all that happened to me, a little Jewish boy from Brooklyn who just wanted to be on the radio, whose father died when I was 9.5 years old, finally getting a chance to start a small station in Miami, and then to dream, never dreaming that I would be seen around the world. Or if you told me 20 years ago, someday you're going to be a featured guest at a major conference in Lisbon, I would have said, you're off your mind. So as much as I appreciate what you say, it's still a thrill to me to have done it. When I entered it, I never thought of accomplishing anything. I never thought that I would be seen around the world. I just knew that I liked asking questions, that I was intensely curious, that I'm still that curious. I'm just a who, what, where, when, why person. And I got carried along with the tide of CNN. Ted Turner had a great deal to do with it. He believed in the global communications, and that made it all possible. That's why I'm here today. But I needed someone who owned the camera. I didn't own the camera.
Yeah.
He owned the camera. So I've always been aware that I'm one of the pieces of this 24-hour puzzle. And there are days I'm sorry I gave it up. I should have stayed a little longer.
I wish you had, really.
Well, only because so many events happened since I left. I missed the marriage I missed that whole marriage. I could have been there. I could have been somebody.
You would have.
No, but I missed, of course, the events of Egypt and the tragedy in Japan. And, of course, last week, Osama bin Laden. That was an incredible page I wanted to be a part of, and that's what I miss.
I remember one of the only time I recall seeing Mr. King live was back in the 90s, Democratic Convention in New York, Bill Clinton's debut. We were there. I was then working for RTP, local public station. And we were at Times Square by fortune, and you were making a stand-up on top of a soapbox or something, you know. And there you were, making openings and closings. And we were out, and I said, I'm going to talk to the man. And I didn't have guts to talk to the man. I said, I rather wait for the conference in Estoril, where I can do that in great intimacy.
No, as you said to yourself that day, watching me stand there in Times Square,
I took notes, and I learned that's how it's done.
That's how it's done, and I'll be with him in Lisbon.
That's right.
In 20 years, we'll talk.
That's right.
Mario, you're a prophet.
Thank you. Thank you. Not a prophet. I'm a believer. The other day I was in our beloved Washington and listened to that splendid station, NPR, the Almanac, the Writer's Almanac, which is a great production of radio. Radio is major in the United States. We haven't reached the dimensions in many things that the United States produces, but radio and television are major social dimensions, and journalism is something taken very, very, very seriously, which you obviously are an example of. And in the Writer's Almanac, there was a program by a tiny poem by, they have a poem a day, by Jacqueline Berger, in which she says it's right to praise random, that tiny God that makes it happen. So I will praise random for making me meet you, even if it is 20 years after in Lisbon.
Mario, you're thrilled by this, aren't you?
Absolutely.
You're really taken.
I'm probably drunk, but...
I mean, I don't know what I need to say to you, Mario, that you are humbled to be in my presence.
I am humbled by you.
Well, I'm very proud to meet you. I've heard a lot about you. And it's an honor to share the same stage with you.
Thank you. I'm still out of jail, which is good in this country. It's a prodigy if you work in the media anyway.
Isn't the media big here?
The media...
Hey, we own the world.
Is my lawyer around there? Because I'm most careful in the way one replies about that. That's joking. No, of course it's big. It's becoming. We're a vital democracy, learning every day with examples like yours. One day also, in a promotion that you made for CNN, a series of little great moments of a career of enormous moments. You ended up by saying, and we'll be here working from Monday to Friday. And the next slot was, this is not work.
Well, it's not work. In all my career, I was on the air for 54 years.
Yeah.
And I'm still doing things, doing specials and lots of other things. We got an announcement coming soon that could be very, very big. I'm doing a series of comedy shows around the United States and in Europe. But I never felt that as work. See, like, this isn't work.
That's what you said. Yeah.
I never said I'd go to work. I always said I'd go to CNN, I'm going to radio, I'm going to the television station, because it beats work.
Oh, yeah.
The worker is someone, if you drive a bus in downtown Lisbon, you go to work. You pick up garbage in the city of New York, you're going to work. I go to do what is a pleasure for me to do. I enjoy every minute of what I do. There are days better than others, but there really aren't bad days. If you get the privilege, and it is a privilege, to sit down in front of a camera or at a microphone in a radio station or to speak to a group of people and communicate, and they pay you, for doing what you would do for nothing.
I wish I could say that.
It's one of the joys of all time, is to be paid
Of course.
to do something you totally love. It's like an athlete. When you're a young man, I have two boys. They're terrific little athletes. And they play all day. They play football, baseball. They can't get enough. They come home from school. They play, they play, they play, they play. And someday they may, if they attain their glory, be paid millions of dollars to do what they're doing now
Of course.
for nothing after school. And they get paid for this. So to think of it, the athlete has the same thing that I have, which is the joy of doing something you love and getting paid for it, and something that you would do for nothing.
I have a couple of personal questions, then we'll open to the audience.
Right.
You can,
By the
I'm
way,
sure.
I should say that I mentioned my two boys. My lovely wife is here.
Oh, yes,
And
indeed.
she ought to, Sean, stand up. And I always say whenever I introduce her that we do have two young boys at home. One is 12, one is going to be 11. It was done without Viagra. It's a special treat for me. And then obviously, when you see her and you see me, you know there's a difference in ages. I mean, it's not you look at her, you look at me, and I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. You look at me, you look at her, I know what you're thinking. I always say the same thing. If she dies, she dies. Life goes on. We have to put up with little things.